Hello, thank you for looking in on my video. Today I'm going to read you an extract from my book, You the Sentencer, What Would You Choose? By John Ebrington. And the extract I'm going to read you about is about the very lady who's on the front of this cover. And she was an elderly grandmother who was prosecuted by the post office. What my book is about is you get a number of reports based on real stories, real incidents that occurred. And there's a court report about Ms. Larkins. I call her Ms. Larkins, although it's not her real name. But there's a court report about Ms. Larkins, and it explains how and why she ended up before the court and why she was prosecuted by the post office. Of course, the post office have been in the news, and as you know, many people were wrongfully convicted of crimes against the post office. So there we are. Ms. Larkins appeared at court and she was made subject to a probation order. Her life kind of fell apart really, and even though she was in her 60s, she'd in effect been a single mum for many years, and she had to start her life afresh really. And one of her dreams was to become a florist, which is why you've got all these kind of floral bits floating around. There she is waiting in the waiting room and waiting for an appointment with me, and she's dreaming of these flowers. And indeed, once subject to a probation course, I got her signed up to a horticultural college where she undertook a floristry course, which I think is lovely, isn't it? I think she was alongside students considerably younger than her, but it didn't matter. And I think she really did well on the course. Anyway, this story is about how Ms. Larkins became a victim of a crime while subject to a probation order. One day, Ms. Larkins came in for a probation appointment as usual. However, she accidentally left her handbag under her seat in the waiting room when she came into the interview room with me. Within a few minutes of sitting down in the interview room, she realised what she had done, and we rushed back into the waiting room to recover her handbag, but it had gone. Someone had stolen it. Ms. Larkins was upset as the handbag contained £100 in her purse, her bank and credit cards, and her passport. The office manager checked the office CCTV and saw and recognised the person who had stolen the handbag. The person who had stolen it was the boyfriend of someone who was on probation. The theft was reported to the police, and the person's name and address was passed to the police. Nothing happened. The police took no action, even though they knew the name and address of the offender and that we had video evidence of the theft. After several months of inaction, I helped Ms. Larkins write her letter of complaint to the police, and we later received an apology from them. I don't know what was happening with the police, but I don't think they were particularly lacking in resources at that time. I think it was more about what work they chose to prioritise. I remember going to court and getting the magistrates to issue warrants for the arrest of people who'd failed to attend their breach of probation hearings at court. However, the police never seemed to execute these warrants for their arrest, even though they knew where the individuals lived. In other words, they never went round to arrest people for breach of probation. It seemed like they were contemptuous of court warrants issued for breaches of probation. Even the local paper noticed that something was amiss and wrote an article about the police's failure to execute warrants. Were the police lacking in resources? Or was it more about what their priorities were and poor time management? What do you think? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the extract from my book. It's called You, the Sentencer, and there it is, You, the Sentencer. It's an interactive book. At the beginning, there's several interviews where I don't give you the answers, but I want you to read an extract of an interview with the offender, and I want you to draw your own conclusions and make an assessment of what the person is saying, and to examine what concerns you might have about what they've said. Then there are a series of court reports, and it's upon the reader to decide what sentence they would impose upon the individuals. And then finally, in the last section is a section, What Would You Choose? And difficult dilemmas, where you're faced with all sorts of difficult dilemmas, different situations, and ask the reader to think about what would they do in different circumstances. So it's quite an interactive book, and do look out for it. It's available on Amazon UK. All the very best now. Bye-bye.